So it's part 3 of the random object series, and today we're gonna make this one, and we're gonna be using MoExtrude and some Softbody objects. So if that sounds interesting, then please go and follow the channel for more of this stuff. So without further ado, let's just get into the tutorial. Okay, so here in Cinema, we are first of all gonna start by making a platonic. And this platonic I'm just gonna set to octa, so we get this diamond kind of shape. And let's just make it editable from the start. So let me just go up here and turn off my work plane so you can see it a little bit better. And we first of all gonna start off by going to polygons mode. So we're gonna select half of the polygons in a pattern like this one. So when we have selected our polygons, we're gonna go up to select, go down to store selection, and it will create a polygon selection over here. Let's call this 01. So it's the first polygon selection. Let's go to our platonic. And now we need to select the other 4 polygons. And we can simply just press UI to invert the selection, so we get all the other polygons. Let's go up to select again. Let's press store selection. We get another polygon selection tag, and we'll call that 02. Okay, so let's go back to object mode, and let's go under the cloner tab and make a MoExtrude. So we'll put the MoExtrude under our platonic. We'll set the steps to 1, and then I'll go into the transform tab, set it to 0.5, and then I'll go and duplicate my MoExtrude, and I'll call it MoExtrude 02, and I'll call the first one MoExtrude 01. Now we need to go into the first MoExtrude on the object, and we'll pull in our first polygon selection. And we'll do the exact same for the MoExtrude number 2, just pull in the number 2 polygon selection. So now we have our MoExtrudes on our selections, but nothing is happening yet. So I'll make a plane. I'll call this 01, and I'll duplicate it and call it 02. So we have 2 planes. Then I'll go into my MoExtrude, the first one, and pull in plane number 1. And I'll go into MoExtrude 2 and pull in plane number 2 under the effectors tab. Let's select both of our plane effectors, and let's delete the Y value, and let's put in 100 in the C value. And maybe let's put in 200 in C value, like this. All right, so now things are starting to look like something. So the way we're gonna control this is using a smart fields controller. And what I mean by that is actually just a group field, and I'll just pull it into my 2 plane effectors under the fields tab. Then I'll go into my group field and I'll make a solid. And on this solid, we're gonna animate our value. So I'll just put a keyframe at 0 at frame 1. Then I'll go to frame 10 and pull it to 100 in the value, set a keyframe. And then I'll go to frame 30 and also set a keyframe at 100, and then to 40 and back to 0 in the value. So now we have an animation that looks like this. And it's a bit boring. So one thing we need to do is we need to go into the plane effector number 2, and we need to go down here and select a invert. So now it's much more interesting. They are moving opposite each other. So let me just press my timeline here. Let's pull it up and let's make ourselves 200 frames like this. And I'm just gonna stop the playhead, and let's just grab all of these, and by holding down Control we can drag. So I'll just drag them out like this. Whoop. Alrighty. So now we have a animation that's continuing on for 200 frames. Okay, so now we get into the fun part. We need to make some dynamics. And it's pretty simple. First of all, we need to make a floor. And this floor I'll just pull down and I'll just scale it up so it's really large. Then I'll go into my plane, go under simulation tags, and I'll put a collider. Then we can go back to our platonic. I'm just gonna minimize this for now. Then I'm gonna make a connect object, and I'm gonna put the platonic inside of the connect object, and I'm gonna turn off the weld. Then I'm gonna make a subdivision surface, and I'll put the connect inside of the subdivision surface. And as you can see, it looks like a big blob, and that's really not what we want at all. So what we need to do is actually make this 1 and 1. So we only subdivide it by 1. And then we actually need to go down to our MoExtrudes again, and we need to put the extrusion steps to 2 on both of our MoExtrudes. So now it's starting to look like the shape we're trying to achieve. So let me just go and close this down now. So we only have our subdivision surface. Let's just call this object. And let's make another subdivision surface. Let's put our object inside of the subdivision surface here. And we can go to our outer subdivision surface, and we can pull that to 3 subdivisions in the render and the viewport. And now we actually have our shape. So now we just need to add some dynamics. And that's pretty easy. We just need to add the dynamics to our object right here. So let's right click. Let's go to simulation tags, Softbody. Let's put it on. And let's go to the Softbody tab right here. And let's pull up the softness to 200. And let's just see what happens if we play it. Okay, so we have our Softbody now, but our animation is missing. It's somehow just discarding our animation. And that is not at all what we want. But there's a really quick fix to this. If we go into our Softbody tag and we go under Mix Animation, we can press this little button called Follow Shape. And it's gonna try to follow the shape of our object. And since our object is animated here, it's actually gonna try to follow the animation. So now if I play, we should have a animation. And we do have a animation. So you can see it's getting wild, and we got this weird but really nice looking object. And if you wanted to, you can go into the Softbody and you can play around with the surface settings here, like put on a bendiness. So it's getting more bent. Maybe that's not a good idea. So let's just turn that off again. And let's instead put some stretchiness on it. So it's stretching. So it's got this wobbling kind of movement whenever it bounces. So yeah, let me just quickly put a material on it so it's not gray. Let me just make it a good color here. And yeah, that is how easy it is to actually make this bouncing object. So when it comes to rendering this object, you actually have to cache the scene before you press render. Because if you don't, you're not gonna get the animation of the object. So you'll just go into the cache and you'll press cache scene. It's just gonna cache the scene like this. And now you can actually scrub in the animation, which is pretty cool. So that was it for part 3 of this random object series. And if you liked the video, then please go and give it a like, and also write to me in the comments if you have any questions. I'm always there to answer them. So now it's your turn to use the technique. Go out there, make something awesome of yourself, and please share it with me on my Instagram. So at last, I just want to wish you a very nice rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.